Hey, this is a bonus Master of Science in Ecocentric Worldview. And today is actually September 5th. I'm just going to post it anyways today. The internet is decent where I am, and I'm actually today going to give the compliment to the library staff. I wanted to do that, but then I had to run to the bathroom. Do not go in there. A couple of weeks ago, I decided to invest part of my budget on a discounted item, which were probiotic gummy bears. And yeah, last couple of days, I think they're working. Bears are wild animals, so you never know. You never know what to expect. Look, this cable is it's been with me for a while. This backpack broke on one side, like it broke the clip. Zipper is horrible, like it opens up. I have to reclose it. It's broken a few places. I'm trying to make it last, but it was kind of a free design from Hyundai that gave to its customers. I didn't have a Hyundai, but I think I got it in a second-hand store. And it's just really cheap, right? Because it was meant to be like a free item. So and it doesn't really have padding. So I'm afraid the other strap is going to go and it'll break my laptop. And I've decided, actually, and this is not meeting my romantic goal, it doesn't count, but I decided I'm not going to sleep alone tonight. I'm going to do not go in there. I'm going to sleep with my laptop because it was really cold last night, and I'm in fear of damaging it. So I'm going to put it under the covers with me in a way that even if I bang into it, maybe in this damage bag, it'll stay a bit warmer as long as humidity doesn't get into it, because my body was giving off a lot of humidity last couple of days because of the climate and the environment inside my motorhome, which is limited for climate control. Oh yeah. Let's get back to this. Do not hang up now. Just oh man, this is like an unfinished title. What is it? How a course on life becomes. Well, there's a sign. I might have done it on purpose. You see where the bracket is? Or maybe I just got distracted. Like if I don't take my modafinil, sometimes kakalan. But I also decide sometimes this is important. Maintain the discipline to not do kakalan, although it's fun. Like you can see, I'm enjoying it, and laughter and fun in my life. But when things are important, I can also decide to stay on. So you know what I'm going to put at the end in case you don't know. Give me a second. Martin's all like seeing the glass half empty, negative, whatever. Again, guys, like when there's evidence, there's evidence. So, for example, our species, it's very our species. So you can't tell me I know somebody, or this store just opened up and a lot of people are going and buying secondhand stuff, or our recycling program is the best and I don't need to investigate, what happens to it and how much of it is successfully recycled and whatever it is. Okay, let's say the 5 R's, because there's really more like 5. I've described some of them in the past, I think, in one of my Master of Science ECO logs. So again, it's more related to evidence. So your species can't even do these 5 R's if most of you can even mention 3. And its species can't do it successfully. Species. So if you know somebody, and then let's say you're presented with evidence that, let's say, 80 to 95% of your species in your country and around the world do not practice this, it means woohoo that but I know somebody and I'm doing more, and our councilman and mayor are working on programs. Too little, too late, So whatever, but still, don't criticize us but really, as a species, you are failing in the 5 R's. Let's call them 5. And this is evidence-based. And the 5 R's are very simple things. You do not need a high school diploma. You do not need a mayor or a prime minister or a president or whatever to incorporate things for you. These are things that are based on you living your life in a certain way, based on you managing your life. Okay, they are not, unless you live in a country where they ban everything related to the 5 R's. I'm pretty sure that would make the news internationally. By the way, when I talked about International Space Agency in a previous vlog, I should have said, Earth or biosphere or life-related Gaia Space Agency or whatever. I shouldn't have said international because I was talking at a time when nations would collaborate to the point they wouldn't exist as nations anymore, so I could have used a different word than international. Did I coq or digress? Well, turns out I could actually get myself back on topic. What is the topic? Democracy, critical thinking? No, it's actually a Master of Science. So when I talk about the 5 R's not being successful, it's very evident, you guys, that the things that you need to do, again, are not about inventing a new technology that only a limited few will have access to. And even if that type of technology was mass-produced, it'd be making things worse. So again, let me ask you this. By the way, I went to a campground locally, and I said, okay, so what are your prices for the winter? $1,100 a month. And in mid-October, their bathroom facilities close. Supposedly there's internet, but I'm not getting a straight answer, like if it's easily caught the signal everywhere. And I'm like asking, why is it this much? What does it include? Is the laundromat? Yes, but maybe that closes too. I don't know. But I'm getting vague answers. And it's very selective. And I'm like, why is it this much? This is more than an apartment that you can get in the same town. Now people might say, oh, look at the view, ruined by the people primates living there to interact with them. Like I had a conversation with a guy who lives there, and when it got to the point about manufacturing consent, and that this is happening in Canada too, and you could change the subject right away. This old guy that can afford these rates, not ready for reality that he caused for his grandkids, and he's like, oh, I'm happy where I live. Because we did mention like East Timor and Vietnam, well, I mentioned, and it was a very short conversation that didn't get philosophical at all. And that's with older, you would think wiser people. You can't get into these philosophical conversations with them. Isn't that sad about our species? So when it got to the point of manufacturing, he said, well, I like where I live. But do you know that where he lives is experienced very differently by other people, including people in the cities that he parks his motorhome? I don't know if that's the only home he has access to or not, but there's hardship. So again, his worldview is very limited, and it has to include less and less of other people, including in the country he loves, for him to not experience guilt, as being part of the problem. So it's pretty sad. What else did I want to say about this $1,100? Oh yeah, it could be maybe the campground's insurance is astronomical because it's fairly close to the river. So if the levels rise, maybe your motorhomes are not covered, but they will be able to rebuild or relocate or retire, and maybe that's why. But no, it's very much not straight answers. So this is an example of how being in nature is ruined. So let's say, guys, that we decide to invest, let's say Canada, into solar panels more. Now, if a politician talks about this, but I can hear that what they're talking about is powering, again, big cities or big industry, or just circuits to have more electric cars on the road, but not more public transit running on electricity, then we know there's something seriously wrong. Because here's a study that you probably know the results to by having experienced it yourself, and you can just do it yourself by just testing this. And whether somebody does this study or not, or it's been done or not, you kind of intuitively know the results, right? Now, when you, let's say, are just walking about and not doing any particular activity, but you're doing it in a big city, or you're doing it out in nature, what is more likely going to be statistically more positive interactions with other people? Will it be more when you're walking in nature or walking in a city? Now, be careful. I stated that this study should be related to just walking and looking about. So it's not like you're in the city and you're about to go in this restaurant you really like and the people are leaving and they had. So again, because not everybody can actually participate in that activity compared to just walking and looking about. So again, you have to understand that you have to reference the entire species and who has access to what activity based on, your monetary paradigm. Well, I believe that most of you will know that it's healthier to spend time in nature. So coming back to this solar panel thing. So if a politician or a business person, whether it's Elon Musk or whatever, is not talking about how, and they're not systems thinkers, and even if somebody advised them, they wouldn't do it because they're businessmen, right? They're not culture repairs. You can't be both a businessman and a culture repair. I think I've proven that pretty well over all of my hundreds and hundreds of videos. So these solar panels should be done to go more in people living in the countryside, farmers, for example, that want to do that kind of lifestyle, and also that are less reliant on consumerism and more on living lifestyles that perform the 5 R's, for example, and that raise a new generation of 1 child per 6 adults of offspring that would pick this up really quickly and even learn about the technology of solar panels so they can replenish that as the main source of energy. Now, of course, you could also, as climate change gets worse, you can build smaller kind of one family or units of little windmills in the sky that actually just the wind changes it and it still always picks up wherever it's coming from as a secondary source to create your energy other than just the solar. If you got a little stream there, and you want to teach also the kids how to, it's amazing how much you can generate with just a little bit of current of water. And you don't go and you restart industry. It's just enough for you with reserves that you can maybe even have a system, if you're close enough to your neighbors, where you can share. Because sometimes it's not about them getting less sunlight or more sunlight. It's about maybe a breakdown or something like that. And this kind of sharing shouldn't even be charged. It should be an agreement because you can't charge for the sun. You can't charge for the wind. You can't charge for flowing water. When you do, again, might as well go live in the city because you're screwed up here. So I just wanted to mention that, again, it's hard to believe that technology will save us when the thinking is still flawed, when it's to maintain a high energy lifestyle and it's not about using technology in a wise way to live in a healthy way with the planet, but it's to, again, kill the planet, but by feeling a little bit less guilty. And of course, you have to dumb yourself down to not feel guilty. You have to not participate in conversations. Oh, I don't know what's going on over there. I just know I'm happy with the last 10 years of my life I have to live. Because again, if this is where you're at the later stage of the conversations of your life, I'm telling you, you've never self-actualized into a human being, and you've never undergone your maturation process, and you have no clue what human rights are, what pro-life is, what respecting other people's human rights, what sustainability and thinking about the future is,